From the top rope, this is the Squared Circus.
Square! Ah! That's the cult phenomenon. You know what I think?
Recording in progress.
I realize I like paint.
That was a botch. Hold on.
So, anyway, that's how it's gonna go.
Wednesday was a really good fucking show. And I'm not going to say all the shit that I remember, but I do know there's a few pointers, and I'm sure most of the show is going to be talked about of that MGF and Regal promo. It was fucking phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yeah. Regal has this whole thing where he's going face, but heel. He's still supposed to be a heel, but he actually does a lot of face things.
You mean MJF? I think you said Regal.
Yeah. Sorry. MGF has that whole thing where they're going back and forth, and I do think that he's going to end up being face. And I'm calling it now that Regal will go turn on Mox to make MGF win. For some strange reason, I have that feeling.
I can see it, but that goes against him turning face, right? If they're going to cheat to win. And like I said, I think I said this on a previous episode. I had the feeling that they were doing the sort of Batman villain thing with MJF. Like they're making him a villain, but like with a reason, right? How I don't remember the exact things. Like something tragic would happen to not tragic because they didn't die, but something terrible would happen to somebody, and how they dealt with it was becoming evil. So like, there's still not a good enough excuse to be evil. This is the Batman villain idea.
Yeah.
But there was like a reason for it, and that seems like the kind of thing they're doing with MJF.
Well, with your point, a lot of people love the fucking Joker. If you're gonna go with that whole route, so I could see your points of that, because I could see that, because MJF, when he does his promos now, the crowd fucking chants for him, even though he's supposed to be heel, and I just don't think it's gonna work because the crowd just loves him to death.
That's the thing.
Crowd,
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, like, he's so over. How do you keep him heel?
Yeah. How do you keep him heel? He could be like something like almost a Stone Cold. Like they had the Stone Cold was almost like that whole where he wasn't face, he wasn't heel, he was almost in between.
Yeah.
I could see MGF being that way. Regal did amazing promo back and forth though, because when MGF did amazing promo, which there's like one thing that I kind of didn't like about it, but like it doesn't even matter because it was so fucking good that I'm not even gonna announce it. But when Regal started saying it, you almost got compelled to Regal then too. So therefore, like they both just sat there and like kept you on the edge of the seat, and you're like, where's this going?
And with Regal, like you said, like they were booing him at first. Like after MJF said all that shit about him and gave the whole story about his interaction with Regal back in NXT, Regal was getting booed. And then once Regal did the promo, he turned the crowd. Like, that's a good fucking promo, man. Like you turn the crowd in that short of amount of time in the span of one promo. And the fact that like, I don't know what the time was. I wasn't paying attention, but it was as long as any match, I think.
Yeah, it was
the last match. It was supposed to be about a half hour, but like that was a good 15-minute.
It was a good promo. And
just that promo. And you didn't realize it. It just went like that because you were just glued to it.
And MGF has they both because they had truth in their actual promos where they added on to real life shit of what actually happened, and you actually got drawn into both of them. So like when MGF took you into his world and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to start rooting for him. Then for the fact that Regal started getting booed, and then when he started talking and then he did this whole turnaround and saying, like he went behind his back and saying, hey, what do you have to prove? And MGF didn't hit him. I know I made the comment when we were watching it live. I said, hey, that's a Billy the Kid move, because Billy the Kid does that all the time, where like he tests people all the time. But so that was Regal's testing him, saying, hey, are you going to hit me behind that back? And if you don't, you have a lot to prove. He made the crowd say, okay, we just rooted for MGF, but now all of a sudden we're going to root for Regal because he's just that damn good as well. And so both parties just kept on making you intrigued by them. And it was insane. It was insane to see. And it was insane to see the crowd getting hyped up about it. It was insane to see both turning and then going for them at the same time. That's what you want to see in wrestling. That's when it's really, really great storytelling, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And I still think that because of that promo, I said, you know what? It would be great storytelling if Regal turns against Mox. It will be heat against Regal and MGF, which they kind of want them to be heels anyway. And it will make Mox be the face of the company because everyone will feel bad about Mox.
Yeah. And they could even keep the Combat Club together and have Regal be like, well, you know, that's how it goes. Mm-hmm. Like I can see that still. Like I can see them having Regal turn on Mox, but be able to keep it in the story and have it still feel realistic that like the idea is like, well, this is Blackpool Combat Club. Like if there were one against the other, I'm going to take somebody's side and you have to, you know, you have to deal with it. Just because we're on the same team doesn't mean when we're competing, we can't do whatever we think is necessary. You know, it can work.
Yeah, it definitely can.
I didn't explain it great, but I think the idea is there.
But because we even saw cracks, and I believe that night was the same promo of Yuta going against Brian about Garcia, saying, "Hey, how did you not see Garcia?" So we saw the cracks.
much less in exciting promo, but along the same lines. Yes.
Yeah. So what's it called?
Yuta.
So because we've seen the cracks already, I'm curious to see how this goes. I really don't want to see the black bean onion dip separate right now, because I do enjoy their faction. I do believe that they're the only faction that they have their own separate moves individually, where you know they're from them. And I think I mentioned this in many podcasts where I don't. Most of the time when factions have it, they don't have their own specific moves. And it's cool where like when you see Yuta or Brian or Mox, when they do the chops or the stomps, you're like, okay, this is part of this faction. And so I actually love that like wholeheartedly. Like I think that's amazing because I never seen that done ever in wrestling where they have this own specific moves. But you do see the cracks. I do see that Regal separating. So it was just nice to see. To me, the promo was so damn good. That was the highlight of the show for me.
It's the highlight of like the last several months.
Yeah, it was a really good Wednesday because after you got already hyped up with a lot of matches from that show, then you have this promo and you're like, you know what? Everything just seemed better. And it's kind of like what you said in the very beginning of certain episode that we wanted. It's like, once you have the momentum and you just keep it going.
Yeah.
Even the mediocre matches seem like they were better than they should have been. And the first match was a trio match. I fucking loved that Cassidy came out with having the belt in his fucking backpack.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That is fucking amazing to me. Like, that is amazing to me. So we knew that they weren't going to win the trios belt, but the fact that he did that,
you skipped ahead. I wanted to say one other thing about the last thing we were talking about.
Okay.
One thing we left off on one of our previous episodes where we were talking about like surprise debuts is Regal. I forgot about Regal being one of those surprise debuts. And I remember you and me were watching together and we're like, holy shit, this is good. This is going to be really good. And we just knew, I think a lot of people knew that like, he's going to bring something that is really going to add a lot to this company that like nobody else could bring. And I think we really saw it pay off this past Wednesday. Anyway, so that first trios match, yes, I agree, and that was it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, but like like I said, like, I normally go into these Wednesday matches thinking Dynamite. Sorry, what is the things that really stand out to me? And that promo really stood out. The fact that fucking Cassidy put out his fucking belt in a backpack was simply amazing to me. And everything else was actually decent. Like it wasn't even the B matches. You're like, okay, you know what though? Because I love these so much, everything was like, this is a great Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what they need to do. They need to have moments where like you don't have to sit there and look up what happens. You don't have to sit there and say, okay, do I remember certain episodes or remember certain situations? The fact that this is like 2 days now and we still remember these moments, that's when you know it's a good Wednesday. Oh, well, Tuesday, actually. They actually came out. Tuesday, yeah, it was a Tuesday.
I'm glad somebody told Orange he might not have showed up the right day.
That is true. He had that promo where he's like, "Oh, it's on Tuesday."
My other favorite, other than those promos, like your favorite little thing was the orange in the backpack. Mine was Dalton Castle. Fucking love this guy, man.
He's really good. This is the first. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first time I've seen him wrestle, and the fact that the whole like peacock thing was amazing.
Yeah,
his people were amazing. The whole stupid of him like going down his pants and then coming out with a fucking middle finger was amazing to me.
Which is like, it's one of those things. It's like, it's been done. It's not new. But he just does it with a certain flair that just makes it like work.
Him and his whole crew, it seemed like it was really good. And
he had extra boys for this and made a whole like showing of it.
And Jericho is just one of those fucking, he really is the GOAT. I don't care what anyone says, but he really is the GOAT where like he will make, even if he wins, he will make the people that he fights look so much better. He would actually put over a lot of people. So that match, no matter what, when you see his Jericho match, even if it's not like the quote unquote, like let's say graded A or this and that, whatever, you know it's going to be a good match.
Yeah. I thought this match was great.
Yeah, he did it very well. He did it very well.
I love the end, that like the elbow out of nowhere. It just felt like right, and the timing, and it looked cool. I'm glad Dalton Castle's been on TV more. I hope that continues. Although at the same time, I'd love to see him be Ring of Honor champ again. I always felt like he was somebody that I haven't watched a ton of Ring of Honor, but the few years that I watched, it was part of that was when Dalton Castle was champ. And I always felt like he didn't have the belt long enough, and he only had the one shot and then kind of like disappeared. So it'd be cool to see him have a longer, more substantial run if he doesn't get like signed on to AEW full time, which I also would love.
He got a good pop. He got a good pop too when he came. So you can tell the people actually know him and they loved him. So that's a good sign as well.
Yeah, he's just a natural. He's going to get the crowd. He knows how to get the crowd. He's just so damn good. But that was, I don't remember. Obviously the main event match,
Mox and events, Page, which is unfortunate that Page is hurt.
Yeah. But Moxley, that was a pro job he did covering, Yep.
They recovered well. He said his piece where he still put him over. Yeah. When he said his piece, and he was killing time, as you can tell.
And then they went to the ads for a bit while they got Hangman out of the ring, which was good. So they didn't have to show that on TV.
They did. I will say they did a very good job of the circumstances, because everything he said, and then Mox saved him a little bit, and then you could tell that. I think you mentioned this, that I'm sure that MGF was supposed to say that promo at the end, but maybe not as early. But MGF came out and he did his little promo saying, for the All Out. Is that what it's called? All Out?
All Out.
Yeah. That was really good. But I know you mentioned it, saying that, he probably just came a little bit earlier. But Mox,
I read that he was supposed to come out at the end.
Yeah, Mox just saves him a lot. And I feel like to come out and say, and I know a lot of people getting heat on Mox because like, oh, well, he's the one who did the move. And then all of a sudden, but it's like, you know what? I think it was Page. Page did it. Unfortunately, he did try to do a flop, like a flip with the move.
Yeah, he tried to sell it with a flip that he just didn't.
So unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But it wasn't Mox's fault. You can't blame Mox, and you can't blame MG. I'm sorry, you can't blame Page to doing that as well. So it's really just one of those circumstances that it's just hard because of the business and whatever, because so many people do that move and they don't get hurt.
Yeah. So I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, no, it's no one's fault. It's just unfortunate. I hope that Page gets better and I hope Page doesn't get out for long, because I know he always loves to wrestle. It's unfortunate that because he's been hurt a lot and he's been dealt with a lot of shit situations. So it's just like, under bad circumstances.
Yeah.
But the way they handled it was really well.
Yeah.
I thought.
And I'm always impressed. Like, to me, the most pro shit is like the way people handle adversity or like things that are just thrown at you on the fly. Like you see a mistake in a match. And there was one instance I remember saying to you this Wednesday. I don't remember what the match was, but like something looked like it was going to be a botch, but that they recovered so quickly and so smoothly that you could barely tell. And that to me is like, that's what's really impressive to me. So the way they were able to kind of like, at first it's like, oh, they're just killing time with these ads, but it's like, oh no, they're getting the cameras off the ring. They didn't have anything else prepared. We'll throw some ads on so we don't have to show Hangman being stretchered out. Go back to Moxley. Moxley ad-libs a bunch of shit until we can get MJF out there. And like, they had a good 10 minutes, 9 or 10 minutes to kill. That's a lot. Yeah.
Fortunately, I mean, it still sucks that it's actually a concussion, but fortunately it wasn't like a huge neck injury. Yeah. So at least like it was that. I know that they were worried about that because the way he landed was definitely really bad. So I'm glad that it was just a concussion. So hopefully he'll be back in time. I mean, he has to do the protocol and whatever, and it takes time. Yeah, you never want to rush things, but I think Mox handled it really well. Yeah. MGF is just MGF, and I know, like you said, he was supposed to come out anyway. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a really good match at All Out. I think.
And give the ref props too for like being like Johnny on the spot. Like he saw something was wrong, 100%. He jumped in there. 100%. And like, again, put the people before the product. As soon as they thought something was wrong, call the match, move on. Don't try to like power through it and make it worse.
Yes.
I mean, it's cool when you can do that. Like, when Cody came and wrestled with a torn pec, that was awesome at whatever WWE thing that was. But like, play it safe. That was his choice and he had time to do it. Like, that was when you're the ref and somebody else's well-being is in your hand, you err on the side of caution, the side of doing what's right for the person, not for the product.
It's overall, it was a good Wednesday. Yeah. I felt like it was the best Wednesday they had in a very long time. And it was unfortunate that Paige got hurt, but besides that, it was probably the best Wednesday that I enjoyed. Well, even though it was on Tuesday, sorry.
It was the best Wednesday ever.
Yeah. It was the best Dynamite in a very long time.
I'm going to say, you know what? We haven't said anything negative. I'm going to say one negative thing.
Okay.
I just want to end on a negative note because that's me. The only thing I didn't like was like, why was Jade Cargill wearing a Cincinnati Reds jersey? Why is the despicable heel who hates everybody doing the most babyface move on the planet wearing the local sports team's jersey?
Yeah. We could totally pick apart certain things, but I feel like with all the shit that they've dealt with, I actually just really enjoyed I really Tuesday. Did. I really enjoyed talking with you. I enjoyed talking with your girlfriend at the time. We were going back and forth.
She was watching. She's a big Hangman fan.
She's a big Hangman fan. She watched Cowboy shit.
Yeah. And don't forget, we got our actual cowboy shit in the commercial.
We actually did.
In picture.
Charles Barkley rode a horse.
Riding a horse, wearing a cowboy on some commercial while Hangman Page is in the little picture next to the ad.
Wow, that's actually cowboy shit.
I want to be a cowboy. I'm going to be a cowboy.